Vikings announced that they are picking up the fifth-year option of Christian Darrisaw because, duh, of course they are. Nothing to see here. It's a step in the right direction for them to have time to come up with the eventual Christian Darrisaw extension. This offseason, the storyline is, when is JJ going to get his? JJ as in Justin Jefferson. And now that I think about it, now that we have an actual player by the name of JJ as in McCarthy, probably should start referring to Jefferson as Jets or Jettas. Your thoughts in the comment section below. But this offseason, it's about Jefferson. When is that extension going to go down? Kwesi recently spoke on that, saying that we've been in communication with his camp. We're very hopeful. And with all the chaos that has been going on surrounding the NFL draft, we want to make sure when this agreement comes to fruition, Justin Jefferson deserves to have his own week to where he can get his shine that he rightfully deserves. All right, we're a couple of days removed from the draft. So for this whole week, everybody get your takes off on when JJ McCarthy is going to be the starter. Hopefully, this gets done as far as Jefferson's extension. Hopefully, this gets done next week sometime. That's the storyline this offseason. Next offseason, it's going to be about Christian Darrisaw. And it got me to thinking as far as having a big three at the top of your salary cap in terms of players that are getting top of the market value. Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, TJ Hawkinson. It's a little bit, a bit dicey right there. However, I will say, I think push come to shove, and there's a way to have an absolutely loaded roster. Look at how the Eagles have operated. Look at how the 49ers have operated last year with Jimmy G no longer on the books, having a quarterback on a rookie contract. There's a way to make it happen, to have a stacked ass roster, but when you're paying three guys top of the market value, that's when it starts to hurt a bit. And even when you divvy it up, make it more balanced, as the Eagles are doing right now and the Niners have done, eventually the house of cards comes crumbling down. Brandon Ayuk, for example, they're going to have to trade him. And now there's talks about Deebo Samuel having to get traded possibly next year. You can't hold on to these top players forever. But with that said, I think TJ Hawkinson is going to be the odd man out. That if you are going to pay big bucks to players, is there really a difference between TJ Hawkinson and, say, Sam Laporta in Detroit, who just played his rookie year? No, there really isn't. And the way his contract is structured for Hawk, you can get out of that deal after the 2025 season, in which case he'll be 29 going into 2026. So that's going to give the Vikings flexibility there. I think it's only a matter of time before they move off of that contract. Hawkinson with $40 million in guarantees, the return on investment just hasn't been there. Although at the time of the trade and the announcement of the contract extension, I was singing its praises. But TJ Hawkinson he just hasn't done a good enough job of, I think, separating himself from the rest of the tight end pack to warrant this contract. In hindsight, of course. But speaking of flexibility, the short-term contracts that the Vikings got into with their ability, the way that they structured it to get out early, the likes of Greenard and Cashman, the cap space that they are going to have available to them next year, they have the chance to go ham with this roster. Well, on the offensive side of the ball, you're not going to do it at quarterback. You're going to have your quarterback on a rookie deal. Sam Darnold's going to be gone. You're certainly not going to pay a running back big money. Your wide receiver 1, he's going to be taken care of, paying him. Your wide receiver 2 is still going to be on his rookie deal. I would say your first round pick, because it's protected for next year, I would say use that first round pick if the value adds up anyway to draft a tight end to be the eventual Hockenson replacement. You're going to be paying Christian Darrisaw. And on the defensive side of the ball, it depends on who you ask. Some are going to argue on the side of pay for an expensive corner. Others, like myself, will say, hey, invest in the trenches. For me, I would invest free agency dollars in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Interior offensive line and interior defensive line. But whatever it is that you do in free agency next year and beyond, what's done is done this offseason and it's free agency. But after 2024, you've got 4 years to take advantage of JJ McCarthy's team-friendly deal. On the interior offensive line, I'm looking at a guy like Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs because they're going to have to pick and choose between, if they can even pay one of these guys, they're going to have to pick and choose between Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, who's probably the best center in the league at this time. They're also paying Travis Kelce. They're also paying Chris Jones. They're especially paying Patrick Mahomes. They're not going to be able to afford both of them. Maybe can they even afford one of them? We'll see. But Trey Smith to the Vikings, I'm going to go ahead and speculate that right now. And on the interior defensive line, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles will be able to afford Milton Williams, defensive tackle. And I would argue that the Vikings, they can structure it in a way, whatever free agent contracts that you sign from this point forward, just strong names, just to give yourselves a juggernaut of a roster. I honest to God would say, F it, screw it. Backload these contracts, whatever void years. This is your shot. This is what a rookie contract is for. To do your best to win now before you have to decide if you're going to pay that quarterback or not. Or at least, at the very least, give him every single reason to succeed to where if he fails, it's not on you, the front office, or even necessarily you as the head coach, although maybe it's on the head coach. But we gave you every single opportunity to be successful. I would say screw it, bro. To where, hey, put yourselves in a position a couple of years from now, let's say 4 or 5 years from now, where you're the 49ers, where you're stressing out, oh man, we're going to have to trade Brandon Ayuk. Really? We're not going to be able to keep Deebo Samuel. But guess what? They've had ample opportunities, multiple NFC championship games, multiple Super Bowl appearances. They just couldn't cash in. Is it worth it? Was it all worth it to be able to at least have those chances to strike gold? Absolutely. I think this is the Vikings' time to absolutely shine.